Welcome back to the channel as we continue to go over my final prospect rankings for the 2023 NFL draft class. Today we're talking about the edge rusher position, which is a much deeper class, so we're going to go over a top 15 instead of a top 10. But if you want my full prospect rankings, my full big board, check out the Patreon. Link is in the description. There you'll find my full evals, pro day combine numbers, as well as important analytics. But what's crack-a-lackin'? It's your boy Broshmo, just in case you did not know. So go ahead, become a bro and subscribe. Leave this video a thumbs up if you enjoy the content. As always, let me know what you think in the comment section below. Let's have that nice, beautiful football discourse. Let's go ahead, start with number 15, Zach Harrison from Ohio State. Admittedly, I'd rather talk about Yaya Diaby here, but Diaby is literally one spot below Harrison in my rankings. They're very close to one another, but Harrison edged him out, so we're here talking about Harrison today. He is a former 5-star recruit from the 2019 draft class, and I mean, look at this dude's length. 36-inch arms, 87-inch wingspan. I swear, those guys at Ohio State, man, they got the most insane wingspan. We look at Paris Johnson, Dwan Jones, and now Zach Harrison with this insane length. And he's got good size. He's a very powerful rusher. He's got legit build-up speed on his way to the quarterback or pushing the pocket. He flashes dominance at times. However, when it comes to him, he's not a linear player, or he's a linear player, not a very lateral player. He's not that flexible, a little stiff, just not bendy as a pass rusher. You can tell there's no real pass rush game plan or approach to how he rushes the passer. He doesn't have, oh, if this guy does this, I do this. There's no plan. He's just kind of going about it all willy-nilly, as you could tell that from a lack of counters and honestly a lack of overall production. He's never really been consistent for a full season in his career, and you could see in the run game the kind of a lack of urgency. He's more of an edge setter, and a lack of urgency when it comes to getting tangled up with blockers. That he's not going to be this penetrator when it comes to the run game, but he is solid, at least at setting the edge and forcing those guys perhaps inside or to the sideline. Overall, I think he's a very solid prospect. I thought he tested out for the most part pretty well, and actually was very similar to Peyton Turner, who came out of Houston a few years ago, who was kind of seen as the guy that could kick, or I think he could kick inside, but mainly played out on the edge. Like Harrison has similar maybe flexibility to doing that, which is a kind of a wild word to use there when it comes to Harrison, flexibility. But I probably should say versatility to kicking it to the inside. But like those strokes of dominance you see, like he can be a very good early down guy or a guy you put in the rotation. Like there's traits there when it comes to Harrison. On to number 14 on this list, I have Isaiah McGuire out of Mizzou. This was a favorite of Alex from Hail Mary Sports. He was a big fan of McGuire, and unfortunately kind of a letdown at the Senior Bowl. Not really a letdown, just didn't really pop at the Senior Bowl. Like he thought he was going to come in and like become this very sure like top 10 guy. Didn't really happen, but still definitely worthy of a day 2 pick in my opinion. He played exceptionally well this season against very good SEC competition. Had a really good game against Broderick Jones, but this dude attacks with violence. Nice push-pull move, nice rip move. He's more bendy than you would think, because I mean, for how strong he plays, it's just kind of wild that he could actually turn that corner or create that arch to be able to get to the quarterback. Does a great job of setting the edge in the run game, and I honestly think he could probably throw on a little bit more weight and play interior on passing downs. I think he's got that type of upside. Not the most twitchiest guy in the world. NFL, we're like, at least NFL evaluators, they're in love with these twitchy guys. Like you look at McGuire and you're like, okay, he's just gonna be a good NFL player, a good guy to have in your rotation and whatnot. Doesn't have too many pass rush moves or counters. There are times versus the run, he's just too content sitting on blocks. Very similar to Zach Harrison. who will get tangled up with blockers, but does a decent job of setting that edge or pushing plays inside or to the outside. And I kind of feel like he's still kind of putting that body together. And if there is a move to the interior, it wouldn't surprise me. We kind of talked about this last year with Josh Pascal out of Kentucky, who showed similar, like, high motor individual that just relentless, doesn't quit, but you kind of worry about, like, kind of borderline tweener. But with McGuire, it's like he at least doesn't have the like, when we use that word tweener, I don't think, like, there's no physical tool or lack thereof tools when it comes to that word. It's more so just a playing style where it's like, okay, maybe that could work on the inside, but then also you got small hands, so it's like, how really definite will those punches be against larger interior offensive linemen? So maybe the best place is really just outside. So I kind of got him as like this base 4-3 end in the NFL. At number 13, I have Byron, young out of Tennessee, not the Alabama guy, but this is a very interesting player. He will be one of the oldest prospects in this class, and he was very much a late bloomer. Like, this guy did not start playing football until community college. He attended Georgia Military College from 2018 to 2019, decided to transfer to Tennessee in 2020, sat out the year, opted out of that Rona year. Then 2021, he made 8 starts, kind of flashed, tied for the team lead in sacks, and then really emerged this season. Really did. Had a wonderful year, 9 sacks, 42 pressures. But you look at him and, like, he kind of feels like more of a 3-4 edge. Like, he likes attacking while, like, from a standing up position. Like, the dude is jacked. High-end tools, which with older prospects, that's a concern. Like, typically whatever their tools are, that's what they're gonna be. There's not much getting better. They're not gonna get longer. Typically they're not gonna get faster, stuff like that. But with Young, like, he has those tools. It's just there's a lot of rawness to his game. His technique is literally everywhere, and a lot of that could be pinned on, well, being late to the game of football. There's going to be concerns about his hand size, how he uses his hands, but again, you can hopefully clean that up as he kind of develops more. His technique gets a bit more polished. But at the Senior Bowl, man, he was phenomenal against the run. I really liked him in run fits when they were doing, like, the 9-on-7 drills, like, better than you would expect. Run defender, very good first step, attacks with relentlessness, high motor. Again, if you could kind of refine some of his game, build some counters in there, then that high motor is going to become very dangerous. Currently 81 on my big board, and for me, like, Boye Mafe is kind of a really good comp just because these were older prospects that had a lot of rawness to their game, but they had really good physical tools. So that's kind of where I'm at with Young. Let's go to number 12 and talk a little bit about Keion White, which this is where I settled on Keion White. People are a bit everywhere with him. He's either this potential first round, even top 10 for some people, or he's more of a, you feel good about him in day 2. And part of that is, you could say he's new to the position. He originally was at Old Dominion, where he was playing tight end, made the move to defensive line in 2019, where he had 45 pressures, 5 sacks, transferred to Georgia Tech in 2020, decided to opt out for that year. Then an ankle injury kind of cost him 2021. So he really didn't start until 2022 against like Power 5 competition. And you can kind of tell, man, there's just stupid rawness to his game. He's 24. So it's like it's just, there's going to be a lot to teach him technique wise. However, when you look at his game, like, this dude's got really good full body strength. He's stupid powerful, stupid strong. He has the versatility to play really anywhere, I would say, along the defensive line at 6'5", 281, great length. Again, this dude just has that power, and he has that build to be able to kick inside if you really want him to. Does lack it's a little bit of lateral ability, but I think you can make it work as like a power powerful like end player at in a 4-3. I think ideally, man, you're just putting this guy in a 5-tech. Like really, maybe in an odd front. I kind of like him there. So I think he might be a little. I don't know. It's going to depend. I was going to say he's a little scheme dependent, but that's not really the case because he's got a very versatile body. You know, it's just where do you project him best? And I honestly think in a 3-4, that's kind of like ideal for a guy like Keion White. I got Rasheem Green, who just signed somewhere today. I think it was the Bears, who was another dude with that. I think he was more of a 5-tech there at USC over time, and they kind of developed into an interior player. So maybe a similar trajectory for White. On to number 11, I have Derick Hall out of Auburn. And yes, I know the comp, Carl Lawson, all these Auburn players, just because I saw them in the same jersey and I feel like they play the same way doesn't mean they're the same player. I don't know. I can't help it. But Derick Hall is real nice, man. Very explosive first step. Turn speed to power very, very nicely. Good play strength. I love the pursuit speed. This dude really never gives up, even if he gets kind of stonewalled. Like, there were cases where he would get rode by the pocket, but able to kind of like make that stop and then work his way back to the play. Like, you love to see that. You love to see that. Just never give up. So causing pressure and then being able to come back and ultimately finish it was a really, really big part of Hall's game. He was a team captain, very high character individual, as said by teammates, coaches. Not the most bendy guy in the world, and kind of needs to be schemed up angles. Like, that's kind of why I have him as a Y9. Like, just go ahead and give him that angle to start out with and just have him shoot to the quarterback, or at least where they expect the quarterback to be. I think that's kind of more ideal for Hall. Very, very linear guy. Not going to see much lateralness from him. Hand counters, kind of lacks some. Little inconsistent effort in the run game. It's really, he gets after it in the passing game. So is he maybe limited to a like a passing down only situational type of guy? I don't really think that's the case with his his pursuit speed and his ability to work himself back in the play. I think you just kind of gonna have to kind of work with him when it comes to that. Got him at 62 on my big board. Really good edge class. I think I have all my top 10 are inside the top 50, I believe. But let's actually go just find out and go to number 10 with Tuipulotu at 57. So I don't have 10 inside the top 50. Fun fact. But I do have I think 16 edge rushers inside the top 100. That's kind of wild. But at a USC, Tuli 6'3", 266. This is the biggest sticking point when it comes to Tuipulotu for me. Is this dude was listed at 293 for USC, and I was like, maybe he's playing at 280. Regardless, he shows up to the combine at 266, 25 pounds lighter than he was listed at USC. So now we're radically looking at this guy in a different light. Like, oh, he could be this versatile, maybe this 5-tech or this versatile piece that we could kick inside. He's not that. He's got to be an edge guy. So I got him as like his role as a base 4-3 edge. And it doesn't help that he's actually really got short arms. Like, he's closer to that 32 than that ideal 33-inch length. And it's not like, because some people would be like, well, Micah Parsons got like 31-inch arms or something. It's like, he ain't the athlete that Parsons is. That's the thing, man. He kind of lacks high-end burst, high-end bend, which is like, it's not ideal. But where he makes up with it is he's got a very big toolbox of pass rush moves, a very nasty swim move, one of the most deadly swim moves, dare I say, spin moves, there we go, in this class. That's actually, he kind of relies on that spin move to free himself up from engagement. You see that a lot in the run game, but dude really he comes with the right type of mindset. Like, how he game plans his pass rush is just brilliant. He was routinely defeating blocks. He's got some nice pop to his hands. I like that he keeps churning them legs. If y'all familiar with the channel, y'all know me. I love guys that never stop moving their feet through contact. That's kind of big for me. I feel like in every position, that's a plus, and he does that. He drives his legs through contact. And you know what? This dude's got family in the NFL. It legitimately does. His brother Marlon was a guy that I was actually pretty high on. He plays for the Eagles. You got his cousin Talanoa Hufanga, who was a very good safety for the Niners. So it's like, all right. So there's some pedigree there when it comes to Tuipulotu. However, I kind of got him as like a Cameron Thomas, who was another guy coming out of San Diego State, like lacked ideal length, kind of trimmed down, but you know what you're getting. You're getting a very high motor pass rusher who knows how to win, even though he does kind of like lack ideal traits and whatnot. But I'm a big fan of Tuipulotu. Don't know if I feel like 57 is about the right spot, but I've seen people have him inside the top 40, and I'm not completely against it. But again, for me, it was a bit alarming that coming into the combine, he radically became a different type of player than I expected. Like, I really thought we were getting more of a versatile guy, and now it's like he's kind of got to be a base 4-3 end, in my opinion. At number 9, we got Isaiah Foskey out of Notre Dame. He's actually the sack leader there for the Fighting Irish. The biggest thing I really like about him is his work on special teams. Like, this dude had 2 blocks last year, 2 punt blocks. I think they actually came in the same game potentially. I'm not positive of that. Don't quote me on that, but I kind of feel like that might be it. Dude's got ridiculous length, good combination of size and speed. He knows how to use his length well to keep his strike zone clean, and that was kind of a thing. He could have came out in the 2022 class, but I think there I had him as like a late day 2, early day 3, because I was like, man, this guy needs a lot of refinement. Needs to add more pass rush moves. While necessarily he got better in those regards. Like, I think he the way he approaches the pass rush. This is a dude that consistently gets after it. He knows how to keep that strike zone clean, keep blockers from underneath his pads. Has a real nasty bull rush. We saw that. It literally put stinking Ryan Hayes on his butt there at the Senior Bowl. However, this is a dude that does struggle to continually get leverage, so flexibility, stiffness is a bit of a problem. He does play a bit tall, so he kind of struggles to sink low. Not the most bendy guy, so it's like, okay, what is his ceiling? Then he could probably add more strength. We kind of saw that he's not there yet in that regard at the Senior Bowl, as whenever he kicked inside, he was basically stonewalled. But there's a lot to like about Foskey, man. I feel like he's this very high floor player, a very safe player. That's why he is in my top 50 at 50. Got Marcus Davenport as a comp for him. I think they're both gonna have I think he's gonna have a very similar game to Davenport, but I think Foskey is going to be more of an immediate impact. Then again, with Davenport, some of that was injuries, but kind of is what it is. Number 8, Felix Anudike Uzama out of Kansas State. As you can see, we're taking a large jump here, as he is 36 on my big board. The dude has been dominant in the Big 12 the last 2 seasons. It's easy to see why. 6'3", 255. Very good first step. Good bend at that size too. He has shown a nice repertoire of pass rush moves. He stops the run from very tough angles, tough positions. Like, he's going to be this every down player, whether you're having him put his hand in the dirt or having him approach it from a stand-up position. However, he is a bit of a bull in a china shop, as he finds himself on the ground a ton. And I think a lot of that is because when he does kind of engage and he kind of gets stopped, like I don't want to say it's like he lacks counters, but like a lot of times his counter, like he just uses counters that don't work, man. I think he could be more violent because I know he's got that power in him, man. I really do. I think he could definitely stack and shed guys a lot more easier than what he is currently doing, or at least what we saw. And he's going to need more polish with his footwork too. He comes from a very narrow base, so it's like the anchor isn't entirely great. He does get lungy at points, which is another part of the reason why he's on the ground a lot. And I kind of feel like Dante Fowler is a really good comp, because Dante Fowler was a guy that I constantly said, because like people were like really high on this dude as like an elite or a top edge player in the NFL, and I was like, he's a good number 2, because he was consistently a late to the party, reaps all the rewards. And I kind of felt like Anudike was similar in that regard in 2021, as he was a guy that didn't have a lot of pressures, but the sack production was pretty high. A lot of that also, majority of his sacks came in 3 games against, I think, lesser competition, lower competition. But this year, I thought it was a bit better, a bit more consistent with that 16% pass rush win rate. Pretty solid. If you're going to be elite, you kind of want those guys in the 20s, which we'll get to a couple of those once we talk about the top guys in this class. But at number 7, I got Will McDonald out of Iowa State. And Arnold Ebiketie is a guy that I've been comparing him to the whole year, not just in terms of how I think. I really think a lot of people are going to keep mocking McDonald as a late first rounder, but he's probably realistically going to be an early second rounder, very similar to Ebiketie. But they actually have a lot in common in terms of how explosive they are. They brought good length. I would say in terms of pass rush moves, like Ebiketie was a guy that was like, okay, he's got like maybe like 4 moves, but he knows how to rattle off counters from those moves. So it's like planting a tree and it just branches out. And McDonald's kind of similar in that regard, but to be fair, Iowa State coming with these odd man fronts never put him in the right position to really flourish, but he produced despite that. Like, this dude plays with a good tenacity. He's got a big motor. Because he was playing like this 4-eye position, that he had to get creative with how he got off of blocks, using his hands extremely well. The biggest complaint about him is like, well, one, sub 240, not great. And he's not going to have that flexibility in the NFL. Like, this is going to be a guy you have to rush from like 7 tech out, like, in my opinion, because he just lacks the play strength. A very wiry frame. He can put more muscle in. He can add strength to that, but will he ever be that guy? I really have my doubts. But I will say, like, he doesn't nearly have the amount of counters that Ebiketie did coming out, but Will McDonald's kind of a different animal when you're talking about his first step than Ebiketie was. But I mean, they're very close in my opinion. Big fan of Will McDonald. Almost 35-inch arms, kind of nuts. Kind of helps, actually. It doesn't help him look any less wiry when he's sneaking. Got the wingspan of an animal. Well, like, what was his actual wingspan coming in at? It had to be like close to like 85, 86 inches. But let's get to number 6, BJ Ojulari. He's sitting here at 29. On my big board, he is the brother of Azeez Ojulari, who was drafted in the 2nd round by the Giants back in 2021. I was a huge fan of Azeez, and I'm a huge fan of BJ. Stupid joke. But yeah, man, and I feel like they're very similar players. That is probably why I really like BJ Ojulari so much. BJ 6'2", 248, might hover around 250, but he's probably going to be playing closer to that 248, which I don't think is a problem. He's a 3-4. I think he's a stand-up edge rusher. Large toolbox of finesse pass rush moves, pass rush moves in general. Like he's got a lot of counters. He's very bendy, and like the dude is just, I think he's ready. Next level ready. Might be a DPR guy, unfortunately, though, because, again, not ideal size, but you could get by with that size. It's just the lack of power to his game. He struggles to disengage from blockers to really make a play in the run game. His size kind of limits the versatility, so you're not getting a lot of versatility from him. But team captain, very vocal leader of the LSU defense there. High character individual. Great length, big fan. Got him at 29. Honestly, should be he's one of these guys that really no one talks about in the first round, and that really should be. He is a first round player. It's just you get to the back end of that first round, and it's like there's not a lot of teams that you feel like are good fits schematically for him, unfortunately. All right, number 5. We're in the top 5. Talking about Nolan Smith out of Georgia. Everyone wants to make the Hassan Reddick comparison. I like Randy Gregory. I really, really do. And a lot of that is because of how Gregory's kind of developed into this very good run stuffer, despite being like playing at like 240, 235. But he's really developed that ability to be a every down player. And Smith is kind of the same, man. This guy is a two-way defender, man. He can play in the run game. He plays very physical, man. He's got a lot in the tank. He plays pedal to the metal, man. This guy's always going fast. Flies off the edge. Stupid explosiveness. Very bendy. Turns the corner exceptionally quickly. You might look at 19 pressures, 2 sacks. That's not great. To be fair, did tear his pectoral in October, which basically he played half the season. But on top of that, it's Georgia. They love to rotate guys in and out, so his production was going to have a cap on it just because of that too. You want to look at that win rate. 25% win rate as a pass rusher. That is great. However, he does lack ideal size at sub 240. He lacks length, so he's right below that 33-inch threshold that a lot of teams have. No power moves really to speak of as a pass rusher, which should be to no surprise. But I mean, just look at how explosive this guy is. 4'1", or 41.5 vert. A sub 4.40 is just freaking insane for a player. For an edge player in general, which is why some people want to talk about it as him potentially being also an off-ball guy, which he did a little bit of that at Georgia. It was really just zone spotting, but still, that's fine. Kind of a work in progress in terms of how he uses his hand, adding more moves, but I can see why people utterly love Nolan Smith. I like him as kind of this 3-4 edge rusher or a wide 9 guy. I think that's where you're going to get the most bang for your buck out of him, especially given the size and whatnot. Number 4, Lukas Van Ness out of Iowa. He was a former 3-star recruit from the 2020 class. Richard his freshman year. Played significant snaps in 2021 as a 3-tech, and then played a whole ton of snaps this year. While he was never the starter, he was still playing more than 40 snaps a game because he was too good to take off the field, and he was doing this from an edge alignment. So you see that versatility he has, that he could kick inside and do that no problem. He was actually productive there this year too. They kick him inside a lot there at Iowa this season as well. Very flexible athlete, plays low, and one of the nastiest bull rushes in this class, just consistently getting leverage. He's going to be a guy that very nimble feet that you could actually work in stunts and loops and be very effective in that way as well. But the bull rush is his go-to. He doesn't have a lot of pass rush moves, and it would be nice to see him add those to his arsenal. he also, his hand usage isn't great, kind of lacks counters, hand placement's a bit everywhere. But despite that, he was very, very good for Iowa with that 19% pass rush win rate. Very productive, tested out well. I know a lot of people are kind of like, whenever I have him going or like at pick 12, they're like total reach. And I was like, everyone and their mom has this guy in the top 10. What do you mean total reach? You can't just say something untrue. Like, I mean, I guess you can. It's a free country and all. But you're going to get called out for being wrong. That's a total reach. Sorry, objectively, you are incorrect. So shut your mouth. I got him at 15 on my big board. And my number 3 is Myles Murphy, who I have just one spot ahead of Lukas Van Ness. Sorry. I'm a mark for Myles Murphy. I know the play wasn't great this year, but like there's a lot of potential there. I said I was going to release his rankings to his pro day, and his pro day, it was fine. It was good. He ran real fast, and then his agility numbers were, I thought, fine enough. I'm a big fan of Myles Murphy. Obviously, his best season was his freshman year, but sophomore year was pretty solid too. But like this year with the new DC there, just Murphy he wasn't the same player. He didn't look good. He really, really didn't. Which is why you saw this whole like why people who were high on Murphy going into the year, because they were looking at his 2020 and 2021 tape, and then those at the end of or at least now that watch this 2022 tape are like, I don't get it. Who is this guy you speak of? Because that is not the guy we saw in 2022, unfortunately. And let me kind of fill you in what he was in 2022, because this was a dude with a stupid hot motor. He was relentless. He would impose, like stupid strong, impose his will and his power onto opposing linemen. You saw the speed, the twitchiness he played with, and it was like this guy, he is raw from a technical standpoint, but golly, the tools are immense with him. And we just didn't see that in 2022, unfortunately, because he's kind of been the same guy, right? Like, he hasn't developed a ton of pass rush moves. He really doesn't use his hands well. He doesn't sink well. Like, I have full belief that this is a guy that could get low and play low. He just doesn't do it. He plays so tall. There is really no plan in terms of a pass rush. You won't see counters or stuff from him. So that could be like a red flag for some people that are like, okay, so he's been the same guy for like the last 3 years. But I think he's a dude that could be a dude that could develop once he gets to the NFL. Like Rashawn Gary was someone who was taken, I think like 12th overall to the Packers, and was kind of whatever, like, oh man, this is going to be a bust after year 1. But then, oh man, year 2, okay, we're seeing something. And then he takes that jump in year 3. He's just phenomenal. So maybe a similar learning curve there with a guy like Myles Murphy. Rashawn Gary's kind of the best comp for him, just because of the tools and what you're expecting from a potential trajectory, how he may look early in his career. And then number 2, we got Tyree Wilson out of Texas Tech, and a dude that had a 22% win rate. Again, those are the guys that you're like, whoa, okay. Those are the numbers you want to see from these guys you're taking inside the top 10, and he has it, man. Despite not being the most polished guy in this class, he has produced the last 2 years. He really, really has, man. Insane wingspan, 85-inch wingspan, 33 or 35, almost 35-inch arms, 6'5", 274. So he's got a nice body that can be very versatile. You can line him up in a variety of different places. He's got really good movement skills at that size. Relentless, plays with a hot motor, and a lot of the things that you're gonna have gripes on him about are all technical, man, are all technique wise. Like his hands all over the place. There's no real plan when he approaches the pass rush. people will be like, oh man, I don't see a good first step. I don't see a burst from him. And it's like, because this guy times the snap like crap. He is almost always late coming off the snap. I think that was very apparent. If you go back to 2021 in the bowl game, the Liberty Bowl, I believe, against Mississippi State, he struggled all day against Charles Cross. And that was actually one of my biggest sticking points where I was like, okay, this guy's put up good games, but I go back to this Mississippi State game and where people are like, this is the game to watch, man. He went off. But any time against Charles Cross, shut down. This year, much better, more consistent, a lot harder, more hard to deal with. However, I do think in the NFL, these more veteran guys these guys that have also insane traits, high-end traits, are going to be able to deal with Wilson relatively well. I think I don't think he necessarily has. I think he's a bit further along, I would say, than a guy like Myles Murphy, and I think he's got a bit more going for him in terms of size, movement skills, and such, length even. But yeah, man, Wilson, I got him at 8 on my big board. I think a lot of people are gonna have him a lot higher, which is it blows my mind to a degree. But I could get why they really, really like him. I guess it's not a big nitpick if someone has him as like 5 or 4 on their big board and I'm sitting here at like 8. That's not that big of a difference. But yeah, unfortunately, he hasn't really been able to take advantage of the off-season draft process because of a foot injury he sustained late in the season. He actually had surgery on that, I think in December or January. And it was a broken bone. So he hasn't been able to participate, which I don't really think hurt his stock at all, if I'm going to be honest. I mean, we're talking about him potentially top 5 guy for some people. So, guess it really didn't matter. Number 1, though, everyone knew it. It's Will Anderson Jr. out of Alabama. You're going to see comps of Von Miller, DeMarcus Ware. I kind of settled with Ware because I think he's a better fit in terms of the build and the athleticism, but 6'3", 253, ran a 4.640, and this dude was just elite. 65 pressures on the season, just a nutty number. 14 sacks, 20% win rate. This dude has 3 years of phenomenal production to his name there at Alabama, doing it at the highest level. You love to see it. He has elite bend, elite burst, incredible first step. This guy flies off the edge. He plays a heck of a lot stronger than he looks. Like he was listed at 243, and people were like, "Oh, I think he's got size and strength concerns." To be like, "You kidding? This dude got that dog in him, bro. He does, man. He's feisty, and he never came off the field for Alabama." And he only gets more scary as the game wears on, which is wild for a guy that doesn't come off the field. You point to that Texas game, which he had 3 penalties. Wasn't a great game, but where he mattered the most was late in that game where he really came on for Alabama. Now, the nitpicks here, small pass rush toolbox. This was a cat that had maybe 4 or 5 pass rush moves, but they were just with his speed and his burst, his bendiness, his flexibility, agility. He was just hard to deal with. So you kind of hoping that toolbox will start to fill out in the NFL. But I'm not too concerned. Doesn't have the flexibility to kick inside. I know I said he got that dog in him, but you're not kicking this guy inside on passing downs. You're keeping him on the outside. Not even a big issue. Number 2 on my big board. Phenomenal player. But that's it for the video. There are a lot of guys I really wish I could have talked about. I'll probably talk about those guys more when we do my top 200 big board, which should be out sometime next week. So be on the look for that. Actually, I think we'll do it. I'll probably put this video up on Easter. So yeah, expect the big board to be somewhere like Wednesday, Thursday. But as always, until next time, you be easy, my friends. Later.